Hello everyone. Thank you for joining and welcome to this month's Connect with Control M. My name is Hugo and I am a technical support analyst. Today, we'll be troubleshooting some issues that may appear when using the Control M for Databases model and we'll review the architecture of the plugin. I would like to take a moment to introduce today's panelists, Taylor Clapp and Arthur Yates. We recommend going to full screen mode by pressing the arrow button in the bottom right of the player. We also recommend changing the quality settings of your stream to 1080 for best view experience. This presentation is available through the Attachments tab at the bottom of your screen. For questions, please feel free to send it through the Ask Question box. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. Here's today's agenda. We will start with the Control M for Databases overview. Then I will demonstrate a few issues that may present when using this Control M for Databases model, what logs to review, and how to fix these issues. We'll review this demo as well. And finally, we will have the Q&A session. Please remember that the chat is available and questions can be entered at any time of this presentation. Let's see an overview of the Control M for Databases model. Starting on Control M 918, the Control M for Databases model is part of the application pack. The application pack comes with the Control M installation media and can be installed or upgraded on agents from the configuration manager using the deployment tool. After installing the application pack, the modules included will display on the corresponding agent. On the agent, there isn't any databases container process anymore. The application pack server will control all requests and will handle job submissions. These are the scenarios that we will address today during our demo. First, we will check an issue where the connection profile management sends error message failed to connect to web server when loading connection profiles on the configuration manager. Then we will look at some common failures on using Oracle database, such as the connection profile when validate and the store procedure fails to execute. And finally, we will define and execute an SSIS package on a SQL Server, and we'll check the job output. Let's start with our demonstration. For the first issue, we open a session on our configuration manager, select the Control M for databases, and then we do right-click on the connection profile management. Here we can see that the connection profile management window is trying to load the connection profiles defined. However, it's taking some time to load them. So let's go to the agent machine where this Control M for Databases module is installed. So we are in the agent machine where the Control M for Databases module resides, and we are already in the proclog directory. So let's list files. And we want to take a look to the AP Manager log. We can open it using the VI command. We can see here several error messages referring to the application pack starter. So let's go some lines up. Okay. And we will find this could not find or parse server XML. This file is a configuration file that the application pack server requires to start properly and is located into this directory. So we need to go here and verify what is the issue with that file. Since the application pack is not running on the Control M agent, after some minutes, the configuration manager sends this error message. If you can see here, basically the error message refers that it failed to connect to the web server. So we're going to close here and we're going back to the agent, again to the agent machine where the control M for databases is running. Okay, back to the agent machine, and we are in the directory where the configuration file must exist. Let's list files, and we will see that the server XML configuration file doesn't exist. However, we have a backup file. So let's rename the backup file. Okay, and now let's go back a couple of directories, and then we change to the exe. And from here, let's list the files here. We want to execute this AP manager command. This one will help us to check the status of the application pack server. We can see that it's not running, and we can use it also to start it and to stop it. So in this case, what we want to do is to execute again the command with the, we can see that it's not running. Now we want to start it. Okay, and we will see, after we execute the command, we will see this message. And after a few seconds, the application pack server will start running. It is important to mention that it's not common to have issues or that the server XML file doesn't exist. This is something that I reproduce on my lab machine in order to show you what will happen when the application pack server is not running. Okay, so now we can see that the application pack server has started successfully. Let's call again the command with the status parameter, and we can see now that the application pack server is running and was successfully started. Okay, now let's go back to the configuration manager. Now we're back here to our configuration manager, and we have our application pack server process running on the agent machine. Let's do right click on the control M for databases, select the connection profile management, and after a few seconds we can see now that the connection profiles are properly displayed. So remember, we have to, or we must have the application pack server process running on the agent in order to handle this kind of requests. Now let's see our second issue. This issue, the problem is that the connection profile defined on running on an Oracle database is not validating properly. So we are doing double click on this connection profile previously defined, and we can see this one is using a connection string type. The connection string type enables you to enter a connection string containing text which exists on your TNS name.ora file. And this text can include multiple hostess addresses for the database and also special attributes. By clicking on the connection type, we can see that there are a couple of options. The first one is the service name that enables you to connect to an Oracle database with a single service name, and the SID that enables you to connect to an Oracle database by using the SID identifier. So uh, I'm pressing the test button, and we can see this error message here saying or sending a TNS error. So let's go to the agent again, and let's look to the logs and verify what is the error here. Okay, we are again on the agent machine, again in the prog log directory. Now let's list files, and we will find this db container log file. Even when the container process is not running anymore, because as mentioned before, the application pack is the process in charge to handle every request or job submissions for the databases model, the DB container log still creates in order to collect information of any issues with the databases model. So let's use again the VI to open the file. And here, let's go to the very bottom, and we can see here the error messages regarding the validation of the connection profile from the configuration manager. So we can see here the connection string that is created when we are validating the connection profile from the configuration manager, and we can see the error here. Basically, the problem is that we're missing a parenthesis on the host parameter. So what we need to do is to go back to the configuration manager, um, then insert the parenthesis, the missing parenthesis, and validate again the profile. So let's go back to the configuration manager to fix this issue. Here on the configuration manager, we are adding the missing parentheses, and now we are doing test again on the connection profile. We can see here now that the validation completed successfully. Now let's close this one. Now let's take a look to our third scenario. On this one, we have a requirement to define databases job to execute an store procedure. And this store procedure has to use the same connection profile previously validated on the configuration manager. And also pay attention that the store procedure requires an input parameter, but we don't have the definition or format of the input parameter. And we simple set some letters in the value. The job was previously ordered, so let's go to the monitoring domain and let's free the job. Okay, so let's see the job execution here. So now we can see that the job is on execution, but it failed. So now let's take a look to the job output to verify what is the error message we get here. This is the job output, and we can see now the error here. The error refers to, or it says error while trying to set parameter value in index 1. So let's take a look on the logs or to the logs on the agent side. Remember that we enabled debug on agent. And let's see the logs. Let's review and verify if there is any clue of what is the error message here. Okay, so we are on the agent machine again in the prog log directory. Let's list files, and we will use again the VI to open the DB container log. And we want to go to the very bottom on this. So we can see here the same error message that we get from the or in the GUI client. So we need to go some pages up in to check the Java proper error message, because we want to see exactly what is the error message we are facing here. And here we are. So basically, this is the problem. If we can see here, the error says that or refers to the input string, and the problem is because of a number format exception. So basically, what happens here is that the store procedure is looking for an input parameter in numeric format, and we parse some letters there. So what we can do, or what we need to do, is to go back to the GUI client and set some numbers or input some numbers in the parameter, and then we need to re-execute the process. So let's go back to the GUI client. Let's fix this job on the GUI client. So let's do right click, we select properties, and then let's do modify job. In here, let's change this value. I'm going to put 001. Let's save it. Okay, and let's rerun the job. So Let's do right click, then select rerun. We press yes, and let's see the job execution now. We can see the job ended successfully. Do right click and let's see the output. Okay, now we can verify the job output and we can verify that this ended with normal completion. Now let's take a look to our last scenario. For this one, we have a requirement to define and execute an SSIS package. So to do this, we have previously defined this connection profile pointing to a SQL server. So double click on this and we can see the settings for this connection profile. And also we can take a look to this advanced connection configuration and, and also the SSIS configuration. So let's do test just to verify that everything ends successfully, as we can see here. Now do cancel. And now we are going to then GUI client to define this job and execute it. So let's go to the GUI client. Here is the job that we previously defined. So in the execution type, if we click here, we can see that we have um, different options. In this case, we are going to select SSIS package. In the package source, we can see also that we have four different options. For example, the first one, that is the SQL Server. It refers that the package is stored on the SQL database. The file system, that refers that the package is stored on the Control M agent's local file system. The SSIS package store, it refers that the package is stored on a file system that is managed by the SSIS service. And the catalog, basically, it says that the package is stored on a file system that is managed by an SSIS catalog service. So um, we have some issues, or there are some issues where uh, sometimes it's not possible to, let's say, find um, the the package in any of, let's say, of any of the options we have here. So basically, the recommendation is just to validate exactly where the package resides in order to be able to select it properly. In this case, we cannot see that we don't have any error messages at all. However, there is an any package listed. So what I recommend is always to verify where the package is set. In this case, the package is set, or we set file system to select the package. So now, once the job is defined, we only have to do a save and let's order the job. And after the job is ordered, we can execute it and let's verify again the job execution. So now we have the job here. Let's free it. And after the job is executed, again, we can see the job output and verify what is the status of the job execution. Let's do right click. Let's select output. Um, Once the output is displayed, we can see all the job execution, or the package execution here. And we can see at the end where it says that the package was successfully executed. This concludes our demonstration. Let's go back to our slides. For our review of our demo, in the first scenario, we received an error, failed to connect to web server. And this was resolved by fixing an issue on the application server that doesn't start. Um, we also fix a connection profile validation issue. Um, so in order to fix this kind of issues, we need to be sure that all definitions are correct. In the third scenario, we saw an error setting a ground parameter type on a store procedure. So in that case, it is necessary to validate the correct format of any values parsing to any store procedures or SQL commands. And finally, we could see that it was not possible to display any SSIS packages because we couldn't find or we were not selecting the correct location of the SSIS package. So we need to understand first where the package resides in order to select the correct location. Now let me share with you these useful resources. The first article have a solution for the fail to connect to web server on the application pack. The second one has also a solution for an Oracle procedure that fails with a number format exception. And the third one has also a fix for a validation problem on the Oracle connection profile, getting the error TNS 04605, similar like the one we had in our demo. Thank you for attending this presentation. I hope the information provided was useful. We'd like to encourage you to provide your feedback on the webinar in the Ratings and Feedback tab. Let us know what you think about the presentation, what topics you'd like to see in the future, or anything else you'd like us to know. Also, we will be sending you a survey in the next days. We will appreciate if you take some minutes to fill it and send us your answers. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Our past webinars can be viewed on BMC Communities, YouTube, and iTunes. Today's webinar will be posted there in a couple of days. We will jump into the Q&A session now.